This is music, and this is the bees, the bees. No, not the bees. They're in my eyes. They're in my eyes. Welcome to another First Impressions video. In these videos, I share with you my first impressions of the many blind buys I've picked up lately. In this video, I'll be talking about some of the CDs I bought in Japan, because I was in Japan recently. Starting with this one here, Nucleus by Anthem. As far as I remember, I picked this one up at Tower Records in Shibuya. So Anthem, that's a veteran band. They go all the way back to the 80s. Straight up no nonsense 80s heavy metal. This is a much more recent release, obviously. I think it's from 2019, 2020 perhaps, or maybe even 2021. But it's a very recent release. And it definitely has its roots solidly planted in 80s metal, but it's a much more modern take on traditional heavy metal, in my opinion. The guitar tone is very modern sounding. The songs, the compositions, and all that stuff are much more modern in their approach. You have elements from power metal, you have elements from US metal. There's even some stuff that I associate with Melodeath. Now, this is by no means a Melodeath album. It's by no means an extreme metal album, but it sounds like maybe these guys took inspiration from some younger bands who in turn took inspiration from maybe straight up Melodeath, or maybe the kind of amalgamation of power metal and Melodeath that emerged after Melodeath. Um, but in any case, yeah, this is awesome. The songs are catchy, they're hard hitting, they're hard rocking. You have some hard rock elements too. You have some tasty guitar solos. You have some kind of technical guitar solos too. These guys are great musicians. Fantastic vocals as well. A lot of the songs are in English too. So I think if you are a fan of more modern hard rock and modern heavy metal, and you're looking to get into more traditionally inclined Japanese metal, I think this is a great gateway album. I really enjoyed it. I think this was great. This is a good example of modern heavy metal being awesome. So there you go. Now a change in style a little bit. This is the Seventh Blues by the Bees. This is a box set, and I picked this one up at Toritsukase no Book Mart in Tokyo. Do yourself a favor, if you find yourself in Tokyo, go and pay a visit to Toritsukase no Book Mart. It's technically a bookshop, but it's really a curiosity shop. So, they have books, they have comics, they have plushies, they have toys, they have t-shirts. They even design a lot of t-shirts themselves. They obviously have CDs, they have vinyl, all sorts of cool things. You will definitely find something, I think, that tickles your fancy if you pay a visit to Teritsukase no Book Mart. The owner is really cool. He's a really nice guy. He loves his metal, including the Danish power metal band Royal Hunt. So that's awesome. So yeah, I picked this one up there. This to me is a mix of classic rock and hard rock. It has an Aerosmith vibe to it, like the kind of maybe slightly funky approach that you hear in some Aerosmith songs. It has the horns sections in some songs as well. It's fun, it's uplifting, it's catchy for sure. Some of the songs, especially on the second disc, do have more of a bluesy approach, I would say. But overall, this is a great, fun mix of hard rock and classic rock. A good, uplifting listen overall. When I gave it a spin, the minutes just flew by. Before I knew it, it was over. And that's a good sign you're having fun, of course. So, yeah, excellent stuff. The Bees, good stuff. I enjoyed it. Now, a change in style again. This is a Ninginisu album. As far as I remember, I picked this one up at a Disc Union shop in Osaka. So, yeah, this to me is a mix of hard rock, doom metal, traditional heavy metal, stoner rock with an influence from 70s hard rock. There's a bit of psychedelia here too. It's not as heavy and doomy, I have to say, as their more recent output, but it has that dark and kind of disturbing and quirky, I would say, vibe that I really like about Ninja in general. So it's a really great album. It's just less hard-hitting, I would say, than their more recent stuff. And it has all those quirky things, like I said, uh, some heavy metal stuff, some hard rock stuff. There's even like a borderline power thrash song, which I think is really cool. And what I think is really awesome about this is that they also inject influences from the Japanese music tradition. So this is really, really good stuff. If you are looking to get into a highly unique band, albeit a band that is very overtly inspired by Black Sabbath, namely Ninja, and you're leaning more towards stoner rock and hard rock, then this is a good gateway album. If you're leaning more towards heavy metal and doom metal, I think some of the more recent stuff would be a more appropriate gateway album. But I enjoyed this one. This was great, and I did recognize some of the songs from their 30th anniversary um, best of album. Excellent stuff. Now, a change of style again. This is another album I picked up at Turitsuka no Bookmart. This is Total Laceration by Ogre, also known as Ogre Japan. And I was a little bit apprehensive about this one because, yes, I had read in some places that it was a thrash album, in other places that it was a death metal album, but also I'd read in other places yet again that it was a metalcore, deathcore album. And I don't like metalcore and deathcore in general. Nothing against people who like those genres. They're just not for me, those genres. I was positively surprised to find that this was much more of a death thrash album. Actually, I couldn't detect any metalcore or deathcore. If there are metalcore and deathcore elements in this one, they have to be such early metalcore and deathcore elements that I didn't even notice them. To me, this is fun, aggressive, kind of brutal in its own way. Death thrash with definitely roots slightly in hardcore and crossover thrash, and a lot of grindcore too. So it reminded me a little bit of Collision, Dutch band, as far as I remember, that are known for combining kind of like crossover thrash and grindcore. You get that on here, and this is awesome. I really had a blast listening to this. This is fantastic. If you like your death thrash, especially with a lot of old school stuff, but you don't mind some grindcore, this is worth checking out. Ogre Japan, Total Laceration. Now, a slight change in style again. This is Valkyrie Zero, and it's also called Valkyrie Zero. I think this was another Tower Records pickup from Shibuya. This technically is an EP. You got like 5 studio tracks on it, and you got 3 live tracks. The live tracks are really rough around the edges. Really, let's just call them authentic. The studio tracks are awesome. They do have a bit of a modern sound to the guitar, but we're dealing with simple, straightforward, no nonsense, Slayer inspired, Teutonic Thrash inspired thrash metal. Super fast songs, very aggressive. Um, and yeah, this is just awesome stuff. I'm a big fan of Valkyrie, also known as Valkyrie Zero, also known as Valkyrie and their old stuff. Fantastic stuff. And if you want to support women in metal, Valkyrie, they're all ladies, or Valkyrie Zero are all ladies. But this is just great, no nonsense thrash metal. I had a blast listening to this. Highly recommended to any thrash metal fan. Now, the last CD in this video, that's a Zombie Ritual, and this is called Dawn of the Zombie Slaughter. So, this is Tokyo Zombie Metal. I had read somewhere that this was death metal, but to me, it's death thrash again. Very old school death metal elements, to be sure, in here, but a lot of thrash metal elements too. And you have some blasty parts, but I wouldn't consider this as grindy as Total Laceration. So all the songs are zombie themed. You got classic songs like Fire Your Zombie Guns. You got Zombie Drinkers Want More. And of course, the classic Zombie Vomit Zombie. Uh, so yeah, they're going for a bit of a theatrical approach, as you can see. Good fun. Uh, this leans a little bit towards pizza thrash, I would say, the thrashy parts. And the death metal parts lean towards old school death metal, like late 80s, early 90s death metal. The vocals are kind of harsh, not really super guttural, but some of them are kind of barky vocals, some of them are yelled, some of them are kind of growls. And it's just a super fun listen. I had a blast listening to this. You also have some crossover on this one too. The members are Dr. Hatred, and he's a vomit zombie. So he's the vocalist. Then you got Alcohol. He is a 666 chainsaw zombie, so guitarist. You got Jason F. He's the bass grinding zombie, so he plays the bass. And you just got Negative, and he is the clockwork zombie. So he's a drummer. Yeah, awesome stuff. If you like your zombie themed death metal, if you like your zombie themed thrash metal, if you like death thrash, if you like old school death metal, even if you like pizza thrash, crossover, this is gonna be up your alley. I had a blast listening to this. So there you go. Just my first impressions of some of the CDs I bought in Japan. As you can gather, I thoroughly enjoyed them all. But as usual, check them out on your own. See if you like them. For now, thanks for watching.